They came seeking hope. Generations later, they remain unheard. Landless, marginalized, struggling to define identity in a place they call home. This is the untold story of the deep scars of history and an enduring fight for recognition. Melanesians in Fiji, the forgotten people. It starts right here, right now on Doco Thursday. For the descendants of Solomon Islanders and Vanuatuans, the struggle for land has been ongoing for over a century. After being brought to Fiji during the blackbirding era, they were left without land to call their own, and their fight for recognition continues to this day.
According to what I've heard, was told by our forefathers, some of my aunties, because me, I'm like a third generation, because my great-grandfather came from the Solomons, and my grandfather and my father, and I'm the third generation. Because Pritchett too gave the first opportunity to the shareholders. So from that you can see that all these shareholders are the white settlers, and the organization like the church, Anglican Church, the Catholic Church, you see all those prime lands, they took the lands of the white. You can see that in Nasese, in Suva, Vanasinu areas here, all the land were taken, including the settlements that we are living in. It was part of the deal for the shareholders to choose whichever land they have.
The link between the Melanesian community in Wailoku and the Anglican Church is not only confined to the Melanesians in Wailoku, but it is more to that, which embraces the whole Melanesian community of Fiji, which traces back to the blackbirding era and the indentured labor system period. So in that instance, the church had to come into and negotiate with the government of the day, the administration of the day, plus the landowners. Thus, the establishment of Wailoku, which was named after Bishop Patterson, Patterson Mission Settlement. Now, the reason why Wailoku had to be identified, so that all Melanesians had to be relocated there to allow space for Suva to expand, but at the same time to also have a common place, a settlement where all Melanesians can go to and live and practice their culture and their way of life, and then to help one another in one locality. And that was the intention of Wailoku. It was not meant only for the Wailoku people, it was meant for all the Melanesians who came to Fiji.
Like many others that came to Marata and Wailoku after years of displacement, hoping for a sense of permanence. But more than a century later, that dream is yet to be fulfilled.
The true name of this settlement is Wailoku. Marata came after. Since they called the whole place Wailoku, so they changed the name to Marata, because all of our grandparents all came from Marata. So they named up this settlement Marata for the sake of our grandparents. I'll be still alive when the lease expired to see what's going to happen. As I've already said, for those of us who've got money, they can buy the piece of land to stay. For those who can't afford, where will they live? How will they survive? Only God knows what's going to happen to our future generation. For the hard work that our grandparents did to Fiji, and what they get peanuts. Government didn't even give them any piece of land for them to stay, for them to own, for the hard work that they have done. All these roads here in Suva, even the super wharf, they build it. And what do they get in return? Nothing. They've been staying on rent They've been paying their lease for the land. Now that they passed away, we're doing the same thing now. We're paying lease for our land. We don't owe anything.
It's been 160 years now that we are in Fiji, and this continues to be one of the main struggles that we've had as a Melanesian community. And you know, this has led to some other areas of life that has impacted us, especially in terms of education, because of the landlessness and no sense of security and belonging. You know, it has impacted our families in terms of the education of our children, and the employment rate in the Melanesian settlement has also been impacted because there's no security in terms of the land in which we live in every settlement that is around Fiji. And this has caused emotional damage, not only emotional, but has caused some negative impacts on our social life, as I've said, in terms of education and employment.
Like the descendants in Marata, the Ni Vanuatu community in Moani Koso has faced consistent threats of displacement.
Most of our ancestors, when they came with their, that magical powers. It's like their protection, because during the time there were rivalries in Fiji, tribal warfares. So they came to protect them. That power was used by some of our Melanesian families in Fiji to protect some of the chiefly system, chiefly families, and some they have integrated into the Fijian community. Now they are known as Itauke under the VKB. After the Veterangi Vanua, then our elders took some tambua kamananga, and they used the traditional protocols to the landowners of Kalambo. Then they went and asked the land, because the land was reverted back to the TLTB. When the land was reverted back to the TLTB, when it was established in 1943, if I'm sure of the date.
The court's decision was a rare victory, a moment of validation for people long marginalized. But it was only one step in a much larger fight for land security across all settlements.
I'm so glad. I mean, in someone who is in a leadership position within the Fiji Melanesian Council, I'm so glad that during the years we have survived. You know, we've moved on from that time during this time. We have changed a lot, and we are hoping that while now we're working with the government now, that we can develop something just to tap us. You know, we still see that some of the policies that some of the act or laws of government that were created during the 1800s are still in the Fijian government, or still in the government system. And during the years, we are asking the government to change some of this. So for us, for our benefit. If no, we will be left out all the time.
I'm delighted to be amongst your presence this evening to chart the way for the new era for the Melanesian communities in Fiji. Today marks an auspicious occasion as we launch government's commitment towards recognizing a legacy, restoring the right through the formalization of the Melanesian descendants settlements in Fiji. This project will offer a tangible testament of government's commitment and your contribution to Fiji's development over the years. The current reality is Fijians of Melanesian descent are often overlooked as an equally ethnic minority within Fiji. Ladies and gentlemen, you all know that I have a strong connection with you, and having grown up amongst you during my childhood days. Whilst it is true that Melanesian communities have been assimilated to the Fijian society, many of you still live in informal settlements with no secure land title and property ownership. I understand your plight as a Melanesian community, and I know for too long you've been totally forgotten. This has led to destitute and increasing poverty with lack of opportunities for employment. Your journey, marked by strength and resilience, remains largely unknown to many Fijians. I am fully aware of the current problems in your communities, and it is important that we all work together to address your concern on land security, community disintegration, livelihood opportunities, and escalating poverty in your communities. As you are all aware, People's Coalition Government is totally committed to enhancing the social and economic conditions of the Melanesian descendants. We have taken on board to respond to your needs, and that has often been neglected in the past. Government will continue to redress the injustices inflicted upon the population of the past decade, and amongst that, redressing mechanism in the Fijians of Melanesian descendants who have called Fiji their home and have been integrated into different communities throughout Fiji.
We are so fortunate for this government for listening to our cries for the past 159 years, and it has been 160 years now. Then I want to say on behalf of the Melanesian community in Fiji that we thank the current government for listening to us, for hearing our cries. It has not been our cry, it has been the cries of our great-grandparents, our fathers and our mothers that have gone, that have been struggling for our voice to be heard in the government. And come 2024 was a very unforgettable year for us Melanesians when the cabinet decided to approve our submission, even to support or to fund the 160 years celebration in Suva. We are so glad. I can't find any words to thank the Fijian government and also the Fijian people for their help and the support. I think that is the beginning of a new era to us Melanesians, and we hope this will continue, and we'll work with the Fijian government. I know that the Prime Minister has directed the Minister for Itaukei Affairs to work with the Melanesian community to create a policy that will facilitate our existence and also assist us in our development, our progress in all areas we are lacking.
Today is a momentous occasion that encapsulates government's commitment to recognizing and restoring the rights of the Melanesian descendants. This project, ladies and gentlemen, is a commitment by your government. Government wants to formalize all the settlements of the Melanesian communities, and today is the inception of a commitment towards this project in formalizing your land ownership. As we move towards formalizing these informal settlements, we are not just building homes, but we acknowledge a due is owed, its tribute to your ancestors' historical significance and a promise of an equitable future. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable Citizen Rambuka, for his guided leadership and commitment of building an inclusive Fiji. Ladies and gentlemen, through the guidance and leadership of the Honorable Prime Minister Citizen Rambuka, government has formed a task force committee that will see this project through. A project that will ensure the provision of secured land tenancy of the current settlements of Melanesian settlements all over Fiji.
Bringing back some sense of belonging and security and happiness as well, as we come together to celebrate a day that we do remember the struggles of our forefathers.
From the villages of Wailoku to the legal victories in Tamavoiwai, the descendants of black-birded laborers continue to fight for what was promised to their ancestors. Their stories of struggle and perseverance are a testament to their strength, and they will not be forgotten. For Solomon Islander and Vanuatu descendants, the loss of land and the erasure of their cultural identity have gone hand in hand. Once the first to arrive in Fiji, they are now among the most forgotten.
In terms of our identity and discrimination, it's been 160 years we are now in Fiji. And some of the statements that I've said, we are thankful to the chiefs of the 14 provinces of Fiji for accepting us as who we are, because it is the British that do brought us here. And I thank the Fijian people, the Fijian chiefs of the 14 provinces of the Vanua, that accepted us into the various communities that we are in.
While Solomon Islanders helped build the foundation of Fiji's economy, their contributions have largely been overlooked, leaving future generations disconnected from their roots.
Most of them, they died even before contracted. They were used by the white people as their security. I mean, I've read some books, some records that they were used by the white settlers during that time. That that time when they came, the first settlers, when our first arrival came, they were used by white people to be their security. There was a story. There's a place in Ba. I think this is in 1875, when those Highlanders from Ba came down to one of the farmers in Ba by the name of McIntosh. They burned their house. McIntosh has laborers from Vanuatu. They kill all the laborers and their children. So then the Solomon Islanders came there to revenge the death. So they managed to catch one of the chief sons from the Highlands. So those are the bad stories we don't want to talk about, because it is not good, because we are used by the white colonial settlers to fight against our Melanesian brothers in Fiji. Melanesian brothers, Melanesian families in Fiji. Most of them, they died during those hard days, because history also said that some they were shot in the boat. I heard stories too that were told that on their way back from Mang in Laos, they were supposed to be brought back to Suva, then transported back. On their way back, they were told to swim, so they were shot dead. Some they arrived safely in Matuku Islands because of that massacre in the boat. Some they swam to Matuku and some of the islands in the Lau group. You can see that some Solomon descendants are there, but I'm grateful that the people of Lau have included them into their Matangalis, but they still known as Solomon descendants. I've been to Matuku. I've met some of the families there. They know that I'm Solomon descendants. They came boldly and told us, and they told us the stories when their great-grandfathers came to Matuku. Matuku people were already there. So they came, they went right up to the mountains. So one Sunday, when the Matuku people saw the smoke coming from the mountain, they realized, see, some people are still up there. So when they up there, there were Solomon Islanders that they escaped from the boat on their way back to Suva to be taken back to their island of origin. So those people were integrated into the community in Matuku.
One of the most devastating losses for Solomon Islander and Vanuatu descendants has been the erosion of language and loss of connection to cultural practices. Without it, entire generations are growing up disconnected from the cultural practices of their ancestors.
We are not aware of our culture back in the Solomon Islands. We have lost our culture, we have lost our language. It's just because that we are now in Fiji and it's been 160 years, we have made Fiji our home.
Despite their deep-rooted presence in Fiji, Solomon Islander and Vanuatu descendants have faced generations of discrimination. Labels like Kai Solomoni have reduced their identity to a stereotype, further pushing them to the margins of society.
Struggles continue to go every day in terms of the discrimination. There are some people that still do discriminate us in terms of where we come from and our race.
In Fijian, they say Ngalomai, that means I swam to Fiji. So that means I don't belong here. Yes. They always taunt me that in high school. I had to go crying to the principal to come and get the kid who did that. Because, at times I had to tell them, well, because of us, Fiji is in a good place. Because of my forefathers, Fiji is developing. Yeah. Hey Solomon, yes. It creates, a very, it sounds more racist, Yeah. But then, it's sad, because after all what our forefathers did, but yet we can't even get a decent piece of land. Unless we buy, And then because of that, look around the village, majority has no good jobs.
The story is told by one of my auntie here that their father is a first descendant. That sometimes when they build roads, they go up like this to Dolesuva. They were building roads, and the young boys from Dolesuva always see them on the building roads. Then they see all the tattoos and all this, and they always say, "Oh, Kai Solomoni, Kai Solomoni." And that time they looked up like this, and those boys used to run away.
We have gone to the extent that some of us, the Vasu, have been registered in the Vola Kaumbola. So that relationship is there with the Vanua and the chiefs and the people of Fiji. But in terms of the identity, we can now call ourselves, we are Fijian, because we are born in Fiji and we all have a blue passport, a Fijian passport, and no longer we can call ourselves the people from the Solomon Islands, because we are born in Fiji and we've been raised up by our parents here in Fiji. And no one can deny that our blood says we are one talk brothers and sisters. But we are Fijians, we have called Fiji our home, and wherever we are staying, in every community that we are staying, in Newtown and in Dombaita, in another Melanesian settlement, we have called it our koro, because once we are removed from where we are staying, we have nowhere else to go to call it our koro. And that is where we have been raised, in our community that we are currently staying in, and we have called it our home.
The descendants of Solomon Islanders and Vanuatuans continue to navigate the complexities of identity in a changing society. While many have adopted Fijian customs, the struggle to honor their roots and reclaim their place in history remains.
So the Melanesian Day Festival was some sort of, bringing back some sense of belonging and security and happiness as well, as we come together to celebrate a day that we do remember the struggles of our forefathers. Yes, we have lost our identity, but by blood no one can take that away from us. We continue to be proud to say that we are descendants of the Solomon Islands and the Melanesians of Vanuatu, and also the people of Mbuka from PNG who are also in Fiji. We are all Melanesians, came in as laborers. We are proud to say that. But at the moment, we have adopted the Fijian culture, the identity of being Fijian, and whenever we have a traditional ceremony, we follow the Fijian protocol in terms of doing the Fijian protocol, the traditional sebu-sebu, and all the stuff that they do. So just a few, maybe 5% of the descendants of the Melanesian people that are here do still know the language and still continue to practice some of the traditional norms back in the Solomon Islands. But majority of us, we are out of touch. We have lost our culture, we have lost our language, because we have been raised and born in Fiji. We have adopted the Fijian culture and the Itoke culture as our own.
Dina ninda sa may kadhibichu ko na yada tudok menda Fijian. Iyan siya ni wasya libi nga baletanan da dieni iyan andu itu kuni kenda chunga ay waga ga Melanesian chunga o kenda na kai biti chunga ko ngona sandu tuna pa masu So nangauna endong basi kay sona vivo sa tau. Membaleta na kena buturang sumuna kau tamat. Doon na karando tangi da karando kere pali puna kau tamat ko ena non ramaroi. Dina nirsi cukup bulang cukup na puno ka. Merdo na numi kara toko ni cukup bausi mendo na numi cukup na taka kali gara menggar apa ena lam puno ko biti.
There's a lot of stories about our ancestors. They were accommodated into Fijian villages, into the indigenous community. At the same time, they were helping them.
Their ancestors may have been the first to arrive in Fiji, but the descendants of Solomon Islanders and Vanuatu are still struggling to find their rightful place. This is a story of loss, but also of hope, as they work to reclaim their identity and restore their cultural heritage. The struggle of the Melanesian people in Fiji is not just about land or recognition, it's about the right to belong. As we close tonight's story, the journey continues. Join us next week on Doco Thursday for the next chapter, Identity and Discrimination. We'll explore how generations of Solomon Islander and Vanuatu descendants have fought to preserve their cultural roots amid a society that often pushed them to forget. Hear their voices, share their stories, witness the fight to reclaim identity. Join us at the same time next Thursday, only on MaiTV.